Meeting of the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission is now in session. This meeting of the Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission is being videotaped in its entirety and will be cablecast without interruption on Metro Cable 61, Government Affairs channel on the Sacramento cable system. Today's meeting is being cablecast live and will be repeated Friday at 9 a.m. Members of the audience wishing to address the commission should fill out a speaker identification form located at the back table and give it to our secretary here. Please speak into the microphone when addressing the commission and state your name for the record. Do we have any statements of persons that wish to speak at this moment?
Yes, we do. We'll need to take a roll call first.
Okay, thank you.
Grantland Johnson. Toby Johnson.
Which we on time?
Toby Johnson.
Aloha.
I like to.
Oh, I mean here. I saw Terry, and I kind of got confused there.
That's all right.
I like Collins. Roby.
Here.
Strang. Ferris.
Here.
Pastanis.
Present.
Fletcher.
Yeah. Thank you.
That doesn't mean he's here. He's present.
Item number one, grantee presentations. And first of all, I'd like to call on Phil Corriveau, who represents KXPR. He has another appointment, so we'll grant him the privilege of speaking first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Phil Corriveau with KXPR and soon to be KXJZ, our second public radio station in Sacramento, scheduled to sign on the air July 1st. And that has something to do a little bit with my presentation, because a lot of what we've been doing on Cable 89, the cable channel that KXPR programs for the Cable Commission, has been programming that will go to broadcast with the inception of KXJZ on July 1st. And what we're proposing to do with the cable channel, as you can see with the draft that I passed out in front of you, is to use some of the many news programs that are available to us through National Public Radio and American Public Radio and some of the other syndicators, and basically present a 24-hour all news and talk service. Some of the news programs would be programs with local origination from Morning Edition and All Things Considered that would be broadcast at different time periods during the day so that more people could listen to those programs. Some, like the National Press Club and Performance Today and the BBC, are programs that we don't have available to us at this time, but will be on cable. Currently, KXPR receives $16,847 a year to provide the 24-hour cable service. I think that works out to something like $1.50 an hour. We think it's a pretty effective and pretty cost-effective service, and hope it will continue. And if I can answer any questions, I'd be very happy to.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Comments?
The number of subscribers, do you have any idea?
That's something that, unfortunately, Arbitron, which measures radio, does not measure for us. The only measure I have is when the system crashes or goes down, I get a lot of phone calls at the station. I guess that's pretty unscientific, but I know it does cost an extra charge to subscribe to the audio on cable, and that may prevent some people from listening who would ordinarily listen. But
and that is how much, Phil, a month?
I believe it's $4.50 a month.
And that is a separate subscription, but you don't know how many of those folks are
currently subscribing? No, I do not.
It's the only question I had to work.
Thank you. I'd like to invite everybody we're going to have a sign-on party on June 30th at the Hyatt from 6 to 10 p.m. There's no charge to be there. It'll be a thank you for everyone who's worked very hard to get our second public radio station on the air. Thank you.
Bill, you need to stay
Thank
right
you,
there
Bill.
because I'm going to bring you something. What?
Oh, all right.
Councilwoman Roby has just renewed her membership. Thank you very much.
Oh, profitable.
remarkable day. What a stunt.
Jerry, you could always go on when they're doing their pledge drive.
Well,
You could do a challenge.
I know, I kept listening and I'd always be in the, the car. I'm embarrassed, but anyway, because I listen all the time. I need to do that.
Well, now, that was an off-the-agenda item. We'll get back to hear presentations from RCC TV, Marcia Vaca.
Good afternoon. I'm Marcia Vaca, president of the Interfaith Service Bureau, which holds the contract for the RCC TV Religious Coalition for Cable TV project. And we're real glad to be able to be with you today because we've had some exciting things happening for us in the last few months since we saw you last fall. And first and foremost, I want to introduce to you our program director, whom you have probably not had a chance to meet before, Pamela Peters. Yay! Yeah, I know.
You're welcome.
I brought, Pamela and I are here as a team today because we've got some real good news that we wanted to share with you. And first and foremost, I want Pamela to share with you a move that we're making come July 1 to phase in a new interfaith national satellite network to Channel 20 RCC TV, which we're anticipating will really expand and improve and enhance what we've been able to do thus far. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Pamela for a few minutes.
This is not a shy person.
Oh, yes, I am. RCC TV Channel 20. Please introduce Vision. Vision is a 24-hour interfaith satellite network, which will bring to us more children's programming, more value-oriented movies, sitcoms, dramas. Our goal is to get rid of all the, talking heads. So we're pleased to introduce Vision that has the same focus, the same dream, the same goal, the same desire that we do, is to bring a message of faith and a value with an interfaith perspective. Vision represents 23 denominations and 54 different faith groups, including Protestant. You got all your Baptists, Presbyterian. That should cover most of you.
No, not anywhere near.
Hold it, I'm not done. Roman Catholic, you can nod your head. Jewish, and even the Eastern Orthodox traditions. Oh, there you are. Well, don't be shy. Stand right up. Come to RCC TV. We'll help you out. So we are thrilled to introduce Vision. We're going to show you some of the programming that Vision will bring us, and then you can hold your applaud till the end.
Thank you.
We had to buy our own popcorn.
That's right.
Vision, America's interfaith satellite network. Faith and values television that programs 24 hours a day for people of all faiths, without proselytizing, with no fundraising on the air. Vision's 22-member faith groups, Protestant, Roman Catholic, Jewish, and Eastern Orthodox, represent hundreds of thousands of local congregations nationwide. That means Vision offers an outreach for over 100 million people of faith. The launch of Vision in September 1988 was an event of extraordinary national and historical significance, as Vision Board Chairman, the Reverend Daniel Matthews, makes clear.
At a recent membership meeting, I looked up and was struck by what I saw. There around the table sat representatives from 22 faith groups. Faith groups whose roots are deep, but whose differences have often placed them at odds with one another, if not in outright conflict. And yet, we were all there, Protestants, Jews, Catholics, and Orthodox faith groups, talking together, working together, and committed to a common purpose, to bring the message of faith to the American public through cable television.
The truth is, before Vision, most people of faith had come to feel that they had no voice on television. major networks had phased out most religious programming. Cable was dominated by ministries serving narrow interest groups. Their survival depended on raising money on the air. The Vision? All that's changed.
Vision programming offers a broad range of choice. There's worship, of course, for people of many different faiths and denominations, including special services like the live New Year's Eve telecast from Riverside Church in New York City, and extraordinary events like the live Christmas Mass from Vilnius, Lithuania. This was the first ever Catholic Mass to be televised from the Soviet Union to the United States, and it was carried exclusively by Vision. Vision's programming also includes some of the finest documentary films on American television.
Tropical forests will be gone within a single human lifetime.
Major historical series.
And why should Japanese tea making, Hindu bathing, Zulu dancing be considered religious?
Social documentaries covering the urgent issues of our time.
Cry out in shame. America's children are poorest in a land of plenty.
Documentary insights into the lives of outstanding people of faith and commitment.
I'm naive, but I'd rather be naive than cynical.
Music on Vision stirs the soul and delights the heart with songs of praise. The great choirs. Landmark concerts. And gospel. There's challenging talk on Vision.
You can clap now. That's not all of it, but that's all we'll share with you today. You may applaud now.
Any questions?
We're delighted. The Vision Network really aligns much more with our local membership in the Interfaith Service Bureau, which represents not just Protestant and Catholic, but the Jewish community, the Eastern Orthodox congregations now here in Sacramento, Muslim and Sikh. We've expanded that greatly within the last couple of years at the Bureau, and our concern was that we are able to provide high-quality programming of this interfaith nature to Sacramento. So we're phasing that in come July 1, with the phase-in being completed by September 1. The other good piece of news since Pamela's been on board, we have been able to increase local programming, which I shared with you last fall was one of our real commitments to see a great expansion on Channel 20 RCC TV to local programming. We've gone from 6 hours to 10 hours total. We now offer local programming Sundays between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. and Thursday evenings from 6 to 10 p.m. We hope to, over the next 6 months, again be able to actually see a further expansion of that, as we're working within the religious community to put together some production teams, 20 to 25 people that would really then work within the faith community here locally to help us provide and do more local programming. The change to Channel 20, we have found that to be good. We went at that with a little bit of fear and trepidation because we had been Channel 64 for so long and obviously had that on our letterhead. And what we have found since that change, that's actually been good. We've had an increase in the number of calls wanting to know more about the channel, and an increase in information requested as to how they can become part of our community bulletin board process from various faith communities. And lastly, we would just share with you our plans, which we hope to begin this month, to further promote Channel 20 to the faith community by doing regular monthly mailings about the upcoming calendar for the channel, and ensuring the fact that our faith communities know how best to access Channel 20. So we're glad to be involved with this effort, real pleased with what has transpired since last fall, and we'll be back to see you again in the fall with hopefully even more good news as we present next year's budget. And we're going to keep Pamela around just because she's such a good cheerleader. But thank you. If there's any questions I can answer for you, would be happy to do that.
1,000 is spelled THO. Make out your checks, too.
I was going to say, yeah, we always do this with no money. But we're here. We're hanging in there, even with no money. Any questions?
You are the happiest people with no money I've seen in a long time.
Imagine how we'd be if you give us some. Ooh.
Some of us who have had to survive the post-Prop 13 years, as many of you have, after this many years, you just sort of become numb and you figure, hey, anything's possible with the right attitude. So,
Yes.
right. Thank you. Thanks much.
Third presentation we have this afternoon representing KVIE, Jan Tillman.
Hi, Jan.
There she is.
Well,
I'm Jan Tillman, and I'm also not shy. And with me today is Margaret Steigers, who you all know is the manager of KVIE Cable 7. And it's great to be able to say Channel 7. I want to acknowledge and thank Sacramento Cable for their realignment of the program services, providing local grantees with an excellent channel positioning on the system. Since May 1st, when our program service moved to Channel 7, we've had nearly a 10% increase in the requests from viewers for our program guide. We're currently providing nearly 1,200 guides per month to Sacramento Cable subscribers. It's been an excellent year all the way around for the cable program service. In October, we increased our programming 60% per week, scheduling 8 hours per day, 6 days per week, repeated twice daily for the 24-hour program service. The most frequently requested programs at alternative viewing times on Channel 7 are the public television signature series, Masterpiece Theater, Mystery, Nova, Nature, and of course the McNeil News Hour. In addition to KVIE Channel 6 and Cable 7 originally produced programs. This year, KVIE's locally produced programs have received numerous production nominations and awards. All of these programs are viewed at multiple airings on Channel 7. In addition, this year, KVIE 6 and Cable 7 co-produced a full year of Health Watch, a consumer health service, also an award winner. And Channel 7 launched its own remarkable new series titled Memories. 4 outstanding documentaries were produced this year in cooperation with local independent producers and with the assistance of Jerry Roulard at CSUS. The series is a local oral and pictorial history of the greater Sacramento area. I know our presentations today are supposed to be brief, and I would like to provide you a very brief clip of this remarkable series. If we could roll tape.
This truly was the end of the line for the criminal. The really worst were there.
If they couldn't get along in the prison system, they sent them to Fulton Prison. That was the stopping off place, the last place.
Gaman is a Japanese term which means to persevere with courage and with inner strength.
My father in 1905 said that when he arrived as a teenager, young boys would gang up on them, and throw rocks at them and call them Japs. So it seems as though for the Japanese and the Chinese, this kind of sentiment is deeply rooted. And they want cheap labor, but when they start to get a little ambitious and work harder so that they become independent and start to become competitors as farmers and economically a threat, then another story develops.
戦ほど悲しきはなし、世界中の悲しきことのここに集まる。
Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii by air, President Roosevelt has just announced.
And the whole world turned dark for us from that day on.
All the day long, whether rain or shine, she's a part of the assembly line. She's making history, working for victory. Rosie, the riveter, keep the sharp lookout for sabotage. Sitting up there on the fuselage, that little frail can do more than a mill can do. Rosie, the riveter. Rosie's got a boyfriend, Charlie, he's a Marine.
It was early 1942 and we were going to war. The selective service system was beginning to draft young men by the thousands from big cities and small towns. The rich and the poor would soon be off fighting in foreign lands. But on the home front, another war was being fought. And this part of the war effort was every bit as important as the troops fighting overseas. American industrial capacity was being retooled to produce vast amounts of war material. At the same time, however, it was also facing a critical shortage of manpower. And the answer to that need would be woman power, and it was needed quickly. But it would mean breaking down a national bias that had flourished during the Depression, one that said women shouldn't be doing men's jobs.
That's all you get to see today.
We're just getting interested.
What you just saw was clips of 3 of the 4 programs that have been produced this year in the Memory series. The 4th program in the series focuses on the effect of the Depression, and it's titled Hard Times in the Promised Land, and it's currently airing on Channel 7. It just premiered last weekend. The program Gammon that you saw a clip of there is currently being considered by PBS for national distribution. All of these programs are available from our videotape lending library, and if you're interested, we'd be more than happy to send you a cassette of that. Now we'll look forward to fiscal year 92. Last September, the Commission and the executive staff cautioned grantees about the limitation of funds available and the serious issue of equipment depreciation. We agree that this should be a top priority in fiscal 92 and have been evaluating over the last several months our equipment needs so that we may continue to provide a valuable program service, and we intend to develop a multi-year plan and submit that to you in our next presentation. The greatest service that Channel 7 provides to Sacramento cable subscribers is its high-quality program service. Our concentration in 92 will be to develop a capital plan and an educational program service within the restricted limits of our funding in order that we may sustain a quality public service to our local community on Sacramento Cable. I want to thank the Commission and Sacramento Cable for their continued support. Any questions?
Very much. No, I just want to comment that Memory series was one that, except I didn't see Folsom manage to take Crows to the Riveters. I haven't seen it yet, but certainly come on, and Memories were just, the Depression one are just really both very outstanding. For a person who's not a native Sacramentan, the one on Sacramento and the Depression, the oral interviews plus the clips. I don't know where you got some of that marvelous footage, but that was a good program.
It really is. It's wonderful as an educational tool. Hopefully, we will be providing the programs to CSUS. They're going to use them as well. And there's other historical applications that we may be able to use in the Sacramento area. We're really thrilled about this series. It's a win-win situation because it provides local independent producers with the opportunity to really show their talents. And the series has been remarkable. Each of those programs has been produced by a different producer. That's terrific. Any questions?
Well, our compliments to you. This Japanese internment film, too, was beyond belief for accuracy and so on. Many of us lived through that era, and we could doubly appreciate it. I think it belongs on other stations for repeat.
That's the program that we did submit to PBS. We hope it's going to get national distribution.
Yeah, well, it was outstanding.
Good.
And I also too want to compliment Sacramento Cable. The two grantees have really alluded to what a difference it has made in their viewership, and I think that has been extraordinarily true. A lot of people who really didn't know where Channel 66 was have certainly discovered you on Channel 7.
They certainly
have.
have.
A lot of unsolicited comments that, they didn't really realize they had all these options.
Oh, that's true.
Thank you.
Any other comment? Thank you. This concludes item number 1. We move to item number 2, staff status report. Rich?
Good afternoon. The staff report as written can stay pretty well like that. I have a couple of things to highlight and then a couple of action items. Just in the highlight mode, before you is an update on our legislation. First, I'd like to thank the chair for joining with staff in several days of 1 day of testifying and 1 day of monitoring legislation. It's greatly appreciated. We are participating with many other regulatory groups throughout the state and working on, right now, 2 bills. SB 1010 is one that amendments were faxed over yesterday we're currently working on. But it's a bill that, in fact, both bills, 1010 and 821, work at establishing state-level customer service standards regulations. We will continue that process through the rest of the session. Secondly, within this process, it's occurred to me that we haven't established a formal policy on legislation activities at the state level. We did adopt in '88 the NLC policies for federal legislation. So I propose and have here a resolution that basically gives staff and the chair a broad-based set of guidelines, ground rules for lobbying at the state and local level. They mirror, for the most part, that which is applicable at the national level. That is, we support competition where none exists, or regulation if there is no competition, local regulation of rates and charges, et cetera, as outlined. So one of the action items, as I conclude my comments, is to approve this broad-based legislative policy. Second item, moving to community government program, I'd like to highlight a bit of the survey that was distributed with the packets week before last. The channel managers met last week, and we're working on trying to take some operational things from what we've learned from the survey. And there were two activities underway that each of us met on early this week and once before. First, for all of us, about 80% of the people that are aware of our channels found us by channel flipping. Mm-hmm. The other types of marketing are not the key ways that were found. So we're currently working on a common promo, 60-second spot for all the community channels. But if we can put it together right, we'll roadblock. We'll run the same spot on every channel at the same time. So let's say at noon, if anyone is walking through the channels from the bottom up, they'll see the same spot promoting all of your community programming channels. Randy's shop has the lead on that, and that's one operational thing that we're taking from this survey. Secondly, the conversation, or not directly from the survey, but the conversation in our meeting last week pointed out, and I think you heard a bit this morning, that each of us, when a subscriber becomes aware of us, they contact us for a copy of our guide, and you have the Metro Cable guide before you. On average, we're each distributing about 2,000 of those a month. And we're now experimenting with a combined community programming TV guide. And we're looking at the idea, the goal, the theory is that we can combine all of our guides into one document, ship all the guides to all 8,000 rather than just to 2,000, and keep it within the same cost we've got now because of the economies of scale. We'll have numbers on that in the next week or so, and we're currently working on a test to computer dump all the schedules into one place. And we'll let you know. The hard numbers aren't in yet, but I have a gut feeling that it will work, and we'll be able to get more exposure. An 8,000 member, 7,000 to 8,000 distribution of a community programming TV guide will be a fairly significant document for penetration. I'll highlight one comment from the study itself relative to the government channel. I thought this was interesting. Mm-hmm. Of the people that were aware of the channel but hadn't watched it, 60 to 70% thought it was important. It's an interesting statistic. We are continuing now. We have the data from the survey in computer, and I'm continuing to cross-analyze it, look at some of the other relationships, et cetera. From this, as we talked at our last meeting, if we do an update of this survey again, we'll be able we'll know what the benefits are of the combined change in the channel location at SCP, which, the early data is very, very good, and our own efforts to make the channels more effective and viable.
I asked a question about it's the same kind of questions I brought up when we were going to do the survey, and I first went to the response rate because I was curious in terms of how many people they actually and finished an interview with. So the interviews completed, as I read it, are 1,017.
That's correct.
Okay, and then I noticed there was a big drop-off. Obviously, some of the people pretty high on that, on the answering machine and the no answers. And depending on time of day, if they didn't reach. Of the 1,017, do we have any demographics as it relates to age, relates to other than male, female, or did I miss where that is?
It's there. We have age, income, sex. It's broken down.
How?
I have to run it for you on the overall. It's broken down within each channel's responses.
How?
So the demographics run out at the back of each channel. Let's take channel 47. We have how many hours do you watch TV during the week, on the weekend, how many children in the household, education.
Wait a minute. Those who watch channel 7 by income level. But that's not the same as the demographics of who we reached under the 1,017. Did we reach a lot of people who were older? Did we reach a lot of one income level as compared to others? Did we reach did we reach into the Black community, Hispanic community? Do we know very much about our respondents? Where would
the data are not presented here in that composite.
Could you do that?
As analyzed, yes. I asked the consultant to comment. I won't find it right now, but I asked the consultant, the race was not picked up. That was not one of the ones that they surveyed for. I asked them, was this sample, by the test they applied, statistically accurate to the population? The answer was yes.
Oh.
Did we emphasize in the sample a particular subpopulation in order to find out more about that group? For example, did we target a black female in a particular zip code to find out exactly how they were? No, because to do that, you would have to have increased that particular cluster by probably 10 or 15 times. But the question, to answer your question...
So it statistically mirrors the community.
That's right.
Economically, ethnically, and by
we didn't ask the ethnic question.
So you can't say it mirrors ethnically at all. But
that's right.
It mirrors just economically?
He said it mirrored for the factors that we ran: age, education, income, children in the household, education, age, income. They said we're reflective of the population at a plus or minus 2.5%.
Okay, so those were the variables.
Yes. The consultant was quite pleased of how the curve of the sample fit the curve of the overall.
Okay, and then the other way that's broken out in terms of our book, though, is it's broken out by those responding to a certain channel in terms of whether they've watched it.
The survey was loaded to provide 400 responses to each channel, which was a statistically significant at the 95th percentile for each channel. I haven't done a cross-analysis yet. It's one of the things that we'll look at later. We, at this point, have only provided data within each channel surveyed.
I have a question, Chairman. Go ahead. Rich, on the survey, I thought it was interesting. Your initial analysis is just a very brief summary. Will the consultants take the data and do some other interpretations for us?
We left that as an option.
Or we paid the contract and they're finished and it's up to us
Right.
now.
We have an option in the contract to bring that back, but for the $10,500 that we contracted for, we got the data. We had the survey tested, the instrument tested, the survey administered, the data returned with initial crosstabs. Now we have the data. What I proposed and when we started was that we as staff collectively begin the more detailed analysis and try and draw more from that. We're working within our office now on various additional crosstabs.
And that was your intent initially then?
That was the intent initially for cost factor.
Right.
Within our budget, recall that I was comfortable recommending the survey in the $10,000 mode because we had about an $8,000 savings in our insurance line item. The other channel managers it was difficult to drag them in even for the $1,000 buy-in. As we got up to the $15,000, $18,000 study cost, I had to take it off in increments. If we'd like to go back and have additional analysis done, we could. I'd like to see what we can do first.
Yeah, I would like to see a little bit more work done with it from your office, particularly to respond to the state legislature, because the couple of 3 times that I've been over there to testify on legislation, the serious doubt of the state legislatures about anyone watching local government, particularly on cable. And your initial survey shows that of all of the public access channels, the government channel is by far the one that's watched more than any other. That kind of generalization, that kind of information, I think should be incorporated in the information we provide the state legislature when we go and lobby them and tell them what we want done with cable television.
Was one of the purposes of the study in the beginning. I said last time that we've only had this now for about 10 days. I didn't expect to have any more today than what you have now. We will keep working on it.
Okay, good.
Terry, one last question too. In terms of trying to read this with real intelligence on what I'm reading in the survey, it says frequency, number, frequency, percentage. How am I supposed to look at that? I'm just turned to the very first one. It's channel 30. How long have you been a cable TV subscriber? What does it mean, frequency with a pound or number and frequency with a...
Of the 400, and I believe it was 10 people surveyed, again, we're looking at a capsule of 400 for each channel. 53 have been subscribing less than 6 months, and that represents 13% of the total.
Okay, so that percentage is just a percentage number.
Right.
Okay.
Other questions?
Of that total, it's not anything, it doesn't have any other relevance.
No, it doesn't tie back to other than the 400.
And every one of these channels, they found 400, and the 400 that is,
yes.
Okay, and of the 400 that they found in each subset, well, the whole 1,017 were statistically near the community. Did they find differences within the 400 they found for each different channel?
Can't answer that. I don't have an answer to that one. I asked the question to the overall. I didn't ask the question to each of the sets of the 400 how they
Think
married.
they have that data?
We have the data, yes.
I'd love to see that data.
Okay. How does the 400 compare?
You can run it on your computer. Okay.
Would you like to round out your comments on this survey now?
I'd like to add 3 more update items in the staff status report. That was the only comment left on the survey. And then I'd like to come back to the action item.
Well, before we leave the survey discussion, then what can we expect at our next meeting, Rich, in terms of the survey?
I propose to provide you with a more detailed staff report on the results of the survey, direct to you, but also one that the core of the information is one that which each of the channel managers has worked together on, and would hopefully each of the directors would be bringing the core information and then the fine-tuning back to each of their boards.
Okay, so we'll have it on the agenda then for our next meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
I think Terry brought up a valuable observation. This is a living document. It's not something we read, lay on the shelf, go on to something else, but we'll find more perceptions in it as we study it, and it'll also become a guide for some future action along this line we wish to take. So it'll be a living document. I think several here will help see that it's kept alive.
I was just saying that I think Terry's other point was if there is a way to somehow, given some time, to take a look at also what the changes are, because I think the channel alignment is going to prove to be a very, very potent influence on this.
Yes.
It's just very easy to find them.
And now we know, remember, I pushed to get the survey in before the alignment. So now we have a reference point when we do it again. I thought that was, I thank you for supporting me in that. A couple of other items to add to the staff status report. Interesting as things change. One is good news. I met with Kim Ruckert last week. You've seen in the paper, the Chronicle ran this week, that several of the MSOs are running a negative option. Basically, they're adding a new channel to the system, and if you don't call the company to say you don't want it, it automatically gets added on your bill. I've had 4 calls from the Bay Area this week asking for ideas. We're probably going to see legislation. The lawsuits will be abundant. Kim has assured me that Sac Cable will not use that technique here in Sacramento. We appreciate that. It's for a new programming called Encore, and it's TCI's been marketing it. I believe it goes for the first month, 30 days, you can sample it. The next month it costs you $1. The next month is $3 or $3.50. And if you don't call in, it's on your system. Getting lots of news. Other interesting things. Wall Street Journal reported Tuesday, as we look at competition, that the Sky Cable activity, the one between Murdoch, NBC, Hughes, and Cablevision, died a slow death and is no longer an option. So the direct broadcast satellite, the main one that we looked at from 19 months ago as the alternative to hard cable is over. On the other side, Chronicle this morning, Senator Gore introduced the telco entry bill yesterday with much fanfare. So in the federal Congress, Senator Gore is running for president, or so they say, a movement, a type bill to allow telephone company entry into the cable market. This has been talked about early in the session. Less dominant legislators had talked about carrying it. A Gore bill has some interesting strength. We'll watch that, but that just hit this morning. So there's, every time we stop, it changes again. The language on 1010 changed yesterday. So this is a fascinating process to stay up on top of. But that concludes the staff report. I recommend adoption of the policies on state legislation, and that you then file the report.
We have before us a resolution establishing legislative policy. Do you wish to have it read aloud? Do you want it read in detail? What comments would you like to make on it here?
No, I read it in the staff report, and I support it, but I don't know if there's anyone from the public that wants to speak to this issue, but
First of all, is there anyone who wishes to comment on it here among commission members?
No, I support it. I'd like to see it approved, but I would like to see anyone in the audience.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to make a statement concerning our resolution establishing legislative policy?
Well, no one coming forward. I would then move the adoption of the resolution establishing legislative policy.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we adopt a proposed resolution establishing legislative policy. Is there any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Toby Johnson? Toby?
Toby? That's it, Graham.
I skipped them this time. I confused you.
Mr. Jones. Yes, I vote for it.
Collins?
Yes.
Kirby?
Yes.
Strang?
Aye.
Ferris?
Aye.
Castana?
Aye.
Fletcher?
Aye.
Motion passes.
The resolution is carried. We'll declare that item number 2 is complete. We have received, and will file a report to the administrator. We move now to item number 3, Commission 1991-92 budget.
This is the 12th budget I've prepared for you, the second that I've had the privilege of signing off on. Several years we did 3 or 4 in a row in every other meeting. This is a bit better. The highlights of the budget contained on page 2. I've watched you at budget meetings over the last couple of weeks, and hopefully this is good news for you. Our budget is flat year to year. We have no increases requested. We budgeted, or we acted last year within 5% of the budgeted amounts that we were authorized. And as you recall, last year's budget was 94% of the year before. So our budget came in within 5%. We're looking at an operating budget from year to year, which is flat. And we also have proposed in the budget the beginning of our process now of paying back to the city and county the advances they gave us on debt. So I'm proposing a $100,000 payback against the debt that we have against the city and county. This will bring our debt balance down to $870,000. Within this budget plan for the next year, our cash flow model is right on track. We can continue operating in the mode we are now, as we have been for the last 2 years, funding the grantees, funding our own activities, without putting the fund below the minimums that were approved 2 years ago with the settlement at PAC West. Lastly, the budget proposes the ongoing funding of our litigation activities, which Brent can advise are beginning now to move into a more active phase at the same levels as approved last year. Overall summary of the budget. Some things to highlight in the budget, just minor things. Total personnel costs are 1% below last year. Essentially, they are flat also. The only significant change in the budget is something that I mentioned last year to the grantees in their budget cycle and fall back to what we've been doing. Within the allocation for our government programming, we have been setting aside funds now for 4 years for equipment replacement. I'm recommending that we begin now committing some of those replacement funds for 2 cameras next year. The cameras in this room, to begin, are the initial ones. The one on the ceiling behind me has been used more than any other camera we have. Our engineers tell us that it has already exceeded its useful life, and the cost to retube will exceed its value. The other part of this process is by upgrading now to the new state-of-the-art entry-level cameras are improved, that we can further reduce the lights. If you can tell, the board members know, but since the last meeting, we've been able to drop the intensity of the lights by about a quarter. The new cameras should allow us to bring that down as well. Secondly, within the fixed asset budget, proposing a combination production computer and character generator. As you're aware, I've been trying for 4 years to improve and perfect the election night results. Last year, the bid was $38,000 in tax for a specialized production broadcast quality computer to do that. Staff tells me now, and I've been working with them on it, that we can do that with an Amiga. And so we're looking now at a desktop computer character generator that we can begin to improve the computer graphics on election night, as well as the graphics that we're using at the beginning and the end of each of our meetings. This will also tie into a request accommodation we're working with City Council. The character generator in the City Council chambers has been defective since day one. It has a volatile memory that if you sneeze at the character generator, it loses all the names and stuff, and the staff has to rekey it. So I've worked with, and I've proposed to City Clerk and City Communications that we go a third on an Amiga-based CG for the city that would be compatible with the one we have here. What that will do is allow us to not have to retype the agendas. We should be able to begin taking the agendas from upstairs from the city and go directly in. So that's our fixed assets budget. This is the first time we've committed significant resources to something like that. It will still leave us with almost $40,000 in our programming reserve for another camera next year, or whatever else we may anticipate.
Just one quick question. Do you think that you'll be able to get your graphics for your election night returns a little larger?
Yes, that's the hope. That's the intent of using this new piece of equipment, which is a $4,000, $5,000 option for that component versus the $40,000 I was quoted last year. I'd love to. Going back, the election night video isn't supposed to work. It isn't supposed to be there at all. The idea of plugging the cable television modulator in the back of a PC, engineers say it shouldn't happen at all. There's some black boxes, but they're expensive. That's been a personal project of mine, trying to make that better for 3 or 4 years. Hopefully this time we can do it. And we have some lead time because the big elections won't start till next year.
Yeah, that's good.
The overall goal, and we've mentioned before, it goes back about 3 years now, would be to get local election results on one channel and then beg, borrow, and steal another channel and get the statewide results up on a different channel. That's one of the things we'd like to try. But the technology at the cost just isn't there yet.
Well, I don't mind if they're on the same channel because I think the same people are interested. It's just that they're so small that they're very difficult to read. Right. I think people watch it anyway and are really interested. But
Each of the grantees today did a great job of staying within their 5-minute requested presentation to you. In September, the grantees will have a budget presentation that will ask them to hold to 10 minutes. As part of our budget presentation today, I asked the staff to prepare a brief videotape for you on what's happened in the last year on Metro Cable. And it'll run about three minutes or so. So while we're looking at tapes today, your staff on your channel have this to say.
Look at the great remote.
Are you able to see it?
Oh.
Metro Cable 61 brings local government and recognition of these seals, no, these seals, into Sacramento homes. Our primary mission is to provide quality and complete coverage of local government meetings and related programming. In the 12 months ending March 1991, Metro Cable recorded over 200 government meetings, totaling more than 700 hours. 96 board meetings, averaging 4 hours a meeting. 48 Sacramento City Council meetings, averaging 2 hours.
Is that all?
24 Folsom City Council and 36 Galt City Council and City Planning meetings, averaging 1 hour each.
You guys are really...
Portions of these meetings have provided a pause in a long day. Next, we provide television exposure to special presentations and hearings. The list includes Sacramento's Affordable Housing Conference, Southern Pacific Rail Yard Redevelopment, Anti-Gang and Drug Initiative meetings,
in which we can work together to create a method, a system of helping each other.
Special meetings on the Memorial Auditorium.
The exterior is magnificent. The interior is incredibly complex in terms of its imagery and its sources for some of this detailing.
Budget and redistricting meetings.
So when looking to make a cut, I tend to look to operations.
Focusing on the districts in the downtown have grown, especially District 1.
Sacramento Area Flood Control Agency and State Board of Reclamation meetings. Next, we focus on the most important event in our democratic process, local elections. Metro Cable produced 13 election forms, and on election night, viewers watched the county election computer tally the votes. In addition, Metro Cable produced several training and educational programs. A presentation on the County Council Computer Automation Study. A training video on ethics in the workplace, and a planning seminar entitled Decline of the Suburbs by Andres Duwani. Finally, we provide consumer and educational programs, which over 1/2 of our viewers are tuning in to watch. We receive programs from the state, NASA, and the Annenberg Collection. We also produce special features, such as public art in the new library and demolition of the old main jail. And behind the scenes, the Metro Cable staff, dedicated to bringing local government to the people.
Not bad.
Yeah, pretty good.
Did you direct?
That's a pretty good job bringing it.
I asked Diane to do that last Tuesday. Today. Diane and the staff did a great job. Our approach has been for any department head who comes to us with a meeting or a special request, we're trying to automatically say yes. We'll get it to tape, we'll squeeze it down to a program. If we have to say no, we go back and find out a way to say yes. We've run a couple occasions now, we've run every piece of equipment and every staff person we've got, and when we run out, we'll borrow stuff from the Access Group. Last Saturday, there was an all-day conference. Mr. Strain was a host at Sac State on the American River. We'll bring that down to an hour and a half, 2-hour special presentation. We have 1 hour to 2 hour program just on the jail, on the whole process, the old jail through to the new jail, through to the new tower, where we've taken pieces out of all the hearings that you've had.
We proposed.
We proposed new tower that should go in West Sacramento. Each of those
need to be built.
Yes, we're trying to extract from what you're doing, what the hearings you have, and bring those into a tighter focus, as well as carrying the meetings gavel to gavel. And that's the plan for next year, is to do what we've been doing and then do some more besides. With that, I'll take any questions on our proposed budget and recommend it as written.
You have questions? Yes.
First of all, I want to commend staff for a very good presentation and a good report on the budget. I'm concerned, however, that we'll be in a position in the next few years to continue what we're doing. There's no doubt about it that we're proud of all the grantees, what they've done, including the presentation today, including what the government channel's been doing. We're impressed with all of that. But what I'm afraid of, I think that if we were to have a financial problem tomorrow, that all of this would go away, and maybe there would be some cries for a little while, but then I think it would be forgotten, and we could slip back to where we were a long time ago when we didn't have this resource. I'd hate to see that happen. When I stop and take a look at the budget cuts that the city and the county are going to be going through, as well as the state, I'm really concerned about our budget, where we're going to be going. That's why I asked staff to take a look at the grantee funding and see what a 10% cut would do with a few of the grantees, hopefully in an effort maybe to do some consolidating. Maybe we don't need to do that yet. I think that's something we have to keep in mind. I guess, Rich, the question I'm trying to get at is where are we going to go with budget? How solid are we? In a year from now, are we going to say we're having the status quo or not? We know the grantees particularly are going to run into an equipment problem in another 12 months. That their equipment is wearing out. They have not been able to put in a reserve for their equipment. We are fortunate we have, and we're in a different status. But I don't want to see all of this just drop all of a sudden because the equipment's worn out and there are no other funds. Where are we going in 12 months? Where are we going to be in 2 years? When do the franchise fees kick in? What will our budget be like in a year or 2 years so that we can have some dependence, some assurance that we're going to be in a position to continue the good track record that we've got?
This is exactly the reason that I recall our budget discussions with the grantees last fall. Our financial model and the decision at the point of the Pacific West case settlement are right now. At that time, it was a plan. We projected out 4 or 5 years of where we would be with our fund balance at the point in time that the franchise fees / what really are settlement fees. The franchise fees come much later down the pipe. What starts in October of '93 is a $2.5 million a year in settlement fees. They aren't franchise fees. They aren't driven by anything that could happen in Congress or anywhere else. It's a contractual obligation approved by the court.
And that starts October '93?
October of '93 is the first $320,000 payment. And then every quarter thereafter, it moves at that level to $2.5 million per year. Our model will take us to there comfortably, healthy, including the contingencies for the litigation we've, as a matter of policy, and we'll talk about in exec session, we've agreed to pursue. The comments made to the grantees last year were that, one, it will be at least until then before any significant increases other than cost of living can be added to any of the allocations. Two, it was a policy adopted, my recollection was March or April of '83, wherein we said that cable television would have no net taxpayer cost. It's my recommendation, both personally and professionally, that the first priority for use of any new resources received will be to pay down the rest of the debt we owe the city and the county. We're making one payment this year. We have another $870,000 to go. When I factor that in and look at it, the $2.5 million will be income. The inflation adjustment is such that the outgo will be around $2 million. Point being, it could very well be 2 more years before there will be significant excess revenues for allocation. So looking on the straight cash flow model, that's the estimations I have now. So we could be running 94, 95 on our current rates of expenditure. Now, our model assumes active litigation for another 36 months. And we have to assume that because we're up against and Brent could comment, a group of insurance companies who have lots of lawyers. And what we're in will probably mean some appeals, et cetera. Who knows? But we've committed to that. Any changes in that process we can plug into our cash flow analysis and update right away. But those are the assumptions we're operating on now. The grantees have been assured a 4% CPI per year on their original funding base. This year, we recommended and approved 5%.
Well, I know that the cities and the county want the $1 million payback. I understand that. But I'm just wondering if...
You can open the library.
I'm just wondering if you think it'll get the library. If the grantees aren't going to be getting any funds for the next... If it's going to be 2 years before they get any increases. That's what you just said?
Possibly 3.
3 years?
Other than cost of
Other than they are getting like 4%, they're getting 5% this year.
Yeah.
With their capital outlay expenses coming down the pike, will they be able to sustain the kind of programming that they've had and that we've seen? If knowing full well that they're not going to get any increases for another 3 years.
That's their question. That's a question to them. It may be painful.
I think that's what you're going to have to ask them. I agree with Rich that we don't know, we can't predict. They're going to have to bring forth their own schedule in terms of equipment and alternate ways of financing new equipment.
They must have a plan.
Everyone, I think, has known from the very beginning that they were going to have to deal with equipment issues and should have been over the course, I would think, of the time they've been funded. From the very first day they were funded, should have been doing something within the community or something to address their equipment replacement costs. I don't think there were any guarantees anywhere on equipment replacement costs to any grantee, including government channel. That at least I don't remember that in the original franchise agreement that was even signed. So I think that that everyone has known, Terry, that long term they're going to have to face them. And certainly I think it's legitimate to ask them, what have you done over the years and to address that issue. It's not as if they suddenly have to do it in 1 year. They could have been looking over a period of years on what they were going to do.
Regarding the debt, wasn't it initially $1 million?
It was actually well up 2.4, 2.5. $1 million of the debt was written down as, remember, we were the administrative arm supporting ad hoc.
Right.
That was $1,033,000 that's reflected in this budget. It leaves a balance today of about $970 and some change.
And you're proposing $100,000 going from this budget to pay that back,
That's
leaving a
correct.
balance after this payment of what?
$870 and change.
$870?
And I'm saying that when the settlement fees...
All of us had to
revenue-
go back to our colleagues and say, trust us.
I know.
That's right. Don't you remember? Don't you
I say it every-
of trust us?
Say it every week.
Yeah.
I won't tell you what we say.
Well, if you're concerned about it, and maybe it's very legitimate, let's ask the grantees to give us a short report on where they are with the replacement needs and so forth. And
They're here today. They know that in September they have 10 minutes for their budget presentation.
Yeah.
I think
So
it's
let's
ideal.
do
That should be part, probably.
We'll write that accordingly.
It seems to me we've made one step already here if we adopt what we see before us today, and that it is not an expanded budget.
Right.
Very
That,
good.
it is a hold-the-line budget.
Very good.
And this is an
What we can do
indicator,
with ours.
both of faith with our own agencies and with the
It's very
grantees.
nice. Very nice not to be cutting budgets. I will say that.
Yes, for just once.
For once.
Yes.
Yes, we've already gone through the first session with parents in tears over children in need and programs having to be cut, and it's only the beginning. I think Supervisor Smoley said that,
well, I think the grantees have known from the very beginning that they can't be totally just dependent upon the money coming from the Cable Commission, that they are expected to do some fundraising and find other ways to actually implement their budgets. I don't think ever that, at least in my mind, it was never either that all of their money would come from this source. It was just an extra bonus to them that this money was available.
but I also feel, Terry, that I ought to say that when I saw the alternate you'd asked for, that I really don't agree with taking that kind of an approach either, trying to take away and pit grantee against grantee. I mean, if grantees want to come forward with ideas on how they might want to work together in order to maximize equipment and everything else, that's fine. But to pit grantees against each other and say we're going to take some from one to give to another, I just totally think is wrong.
I asked for that so that I wanted to stimulate that kind of a discussion, because I honestly believe that if funds aren't coming from somewhere in the next 3 to 4 years, and if it's as bleak as it can be, I think the grantees have got to consolidate some way, including the government channel. I think that's the only way you're going to survive, or you're going to see them all fall off one at a time. And I don't want to see any of them fall off, but I think we have to take a look and see what we can do, because unless they do an excellent job of fundraising, and everyone out there is fundraising, and until some other source of funds come in, their equipment's going to die on the vine, and we're going to lose them one at a time. And I think the only way they can survive is if they have some kind of a consolidated effort. And my interest was in stimulating any kind of discussion with this request, and take a look at the budget and see what we can do, including ours.
Well, along this line, of course, we have to set a standard, and that is by what base are we going to judge what's most important. And one idea that has been in my mind all along is that we're interested in using these special channels for local programming, locally produced programming, elements that are important to the community that the cable company serves, which otherwise would not be covered. We have all kinds of national and international programming on the commercial channels, but these special channels are set aside for that which is not otherwise provided. And whenever we make this judgmental test, should something have to go, that to me would be one of the bases of the judgment made. Not entirely, but it certainly enters into it. For now, it seems to me that we have done the best we could with the budget that is presented here today, and it is within our financial means. It does not represent an increase in expenditure. It is covered by funds that are available. It would seem to me that we have no other recourse but to adopt it, and then to see in the next 12 months how our funds are coming in and how we're going to be able to make adjustments. Is there further discussion?
No, I was just waiting to see if there's no public testimony on it, I was going to move the recommendation. A second. Second? Okay.
Is there any public testimony to be presented at this time? We have a motion, we have a second. Is there further discussion from members of the commission?
But we have asked staff to actually make a special effort to contact each of the grantees and for them to provide reports to us on their equipment, the age of it, and hopefully to see, what kind of life it will have. So I think
this is a logical follow-up of the letter written to them this time last year, basically saying to begin planning for this. So I will ask them to build a component into their presentation, into their budget that's due August 1st in that regard.
That'd be excellent.
Well, clerk, please call the roll.
Grantland Johnson. Toby Johnson.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Roby.
Aye.
Strang.
Aye.
Harris.
Aye.
Costanza.
Aye.
Fletcher.
Aye.
Motion passes.
The motion to adopt the budget of $1,732,279 is adopted.
I meant all those recommendations.
Oh,
Staff recommendation.
you wished all of the
Yeah, it was the
numbers
whole,
one,
it was, the intent of the
two,
motion was 1, 2, and 3.
All right.
1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
So I'm going to repeat this then for benefit of the audience. The resolutions that were adopted by this motion, number 1, appropriating budget amounts. Number 2, authorize chairman to execute Hammett and Edison and video maintenance amended agreements. And number 3, authorizing chair to execute a facility lease. Does this raise any issue or comment? And they are adopted. Item number 4, Sacramento Cable Status Report. Do you wish to rise to the occasion, Tim? All right.
How are you?
Hi.
I would like to first say that we're very pleased to be reporting, as usual, as we have in the past, our customer service progress. Sacramento Cable customer service guidelines were adopted in January of 1991. There is a considerable overlap between the guidelines and the customer service regulations. Therefore, our continual reporting should be considered not a change from the position with regard to the regulations as we have agreed, as we have in the past, and as we agreed in January, we will continue to report on those guidelines. During the past 90 days, we have only fielded 99 complaints from the community through the Cable Commission. Of those 99 complaints, all but 4 have been resolved to the state as of May 31st, 1991. To give you a little perspective on that, this is equivalent to basically a service call a day or a complaint a day, but also represents a reduction of about 80% in complaints in the last year.
Incredible. We really have to congratulate you on that. If you weren't going to bring it up, I was going to ask Rich about the ones in his report and over what period of time they covered, et cetera, because it looks like a big drop.
Well,
be commended for that.
Thank you very much. Some of the things that we're doing, which I will go between both what we're doing as far as progress and also what we're doing to improve our operation. The next thing is that we have expanded our hours beyond the guidelines that we set for ourselves and have added 2 more hours. So now our office hours for customers is from 7 a.m. until 10 p.m., which went into effect on May the 1st. Our guidelines indicate that we have also had substantial improvement in our on-hold time record, and we have passed out 3 graphs for you, which I'd like to go over at this time. Those graphs indicate, of course, our on-hold and our installation and service report. As you can see, in our on-hold time, there has been a substantial improvement. In February, we had an 89-second average on-hold time. In March, it was 67 seconds. In April, it was 51 seconds. In May, it went back up to 92 seconds, but that also was in conjunction with a major channel realignment. Yeah. And during the survey, which we provided to the Cable Commission for the 2-week period, the evaluation indicates that we are at 57 seconds during that 2-week period. As you can see, that is a substantial improvement, and it keeps improving as we go along, so we're very, very pleased with that. The next graph is graph chart number 2, and it plots basically our installation activity. And I'm very proud of this because it also shows tremendous improvement, and the higher this chart goes, the better I feel. The installers work, as it is considered to be neat, 99.5% of the time. Wow. The installer was professional and courteous 99.4% of the time. Customer service is working, the service to the customer is working to their satisfaction 97.6% of the time. The next graph indicates our customer service activity in the field. And as you can see, that too is showing great improvement. And it indicates that our technicians have resolved the problem 96.2% of the time on the first call. The next category is whether our employees are courteous and polite to our customers, and that's 99.4% of the time. This is done in conjunction with over 2,000 phone calls a week. We are calling just about every customer we can reach by telephone. We have a full staff that does this every night. and we are contacting the customers the next day after their installation, after their service call, to confirm that they're pleased with the service. We find that this is developing a lot of pride within our employee group, and it also is creating a tremendous pride because of the really polite and positive responses we're getting from the consumers. And they are writing us on a regular basis, and we greatly appreciate it because we do recognize our employees, and we do provide incentives for them to do good quality service, or to give good quality service. On May the 1st, we actually implemented our first real A&I, permanent A&I service. This is the ability for our customers to not have to call us and talk to us and order pay-per-view movies, and it is basically the cutting edge of future use, such as ordering HBO without having to talk to a customer service rep or any other premium service for that matter. That went into effect May 1st. Now we have 3 automated response units that help handle the influx of calls for pay-per-view, which, by the way, is quite substantial and growing every year.
I mean, when you dial the phone, I've never utilized it, so when you dial a phone number, it now is automated?
Yes, what actually happens is that you generate a phone call, you're a customer of ours, it will automatically go into our billing system, look up your account, look at whether your status as a customer is in current status, and your number that's in our computer and your number that you're dialing from is automatically matched. It then automatically decides, based on the parameters we give the computer, to turn on your service for that pay-per-view event.
And that relies on touch tone?
It can be both, touch tone and rotary.
I can assure you it works far too well.
I was just trying to imagine in my mind technically how this worked, because as I say, I haven't done it.
If you know Penny, it's
only $4.95 a movie. Actually, $3.95. As you may have noticed, we have been making a substantial effort to publish with our employees, both women and men.
You did it! You did it!
Which we are running in this particular case a half-page ad, and I'll be happy to share that with you. But basically, it shows our commitment to the public on customer service. And I have had extensive talks with Cindy. We will also start showing both the positives and the negatives of our performance too soon, and actually give them a full report card on where we stand. But we have done this now on 3 separate occasions. One, it's to recognize the fantastic employees that we do have working for us, and the company's dedication and our employees' dedication to customer service. As far as our outages are concerned, we will be, by July 1st, able to track outages through our computer system and be able to evaluate in a more automated way our outages and where they are and the problems that we're having. But I am very proud to tell you that the outage time has been overall averaged at 1 hour for an individual outage, and that could be a major pole coming down, usually an outage is an absolute major problem in the system. But 1 hour is more than acceptable. I will be announcing shortly, but I'm not going to give that exact date because the Sacramento Bee is really deserving of this one, but we will be putting Sports Channel no longer as a pay-per-view service, and I will be giving that to our customers as a basic service. Again, I'm not saying that the date, but it's coming soon. But it'll be on its same channel without a scrambler on it, so that everyone will be able to receive it. The big question, the boxes. What is Kim Ruckert doing to the boxes? He said June 1st, and it's not there yet, and so on and so forth. Well, we have over 40,000 drops that we are in the process of trapping, as I explained the last time in front of the commission, that this is to secure the system from people that would get basic service, from limited basic service in an illegal manner. So we are in the process of putting line traps on 40,000 customers. When those line traps are in place, then we will begin taking the descramblers off the basic services and only leave them on the pay TV and pay-per-view services. I can't really be specific because it just is a very lengthy process, and we have encountered lots of different types of problems when we got into the field just trying to access the equipment at points in time.
Will you have any percentage of actually problems, numbers of people who have actually accessed other channels that they were not paying for?
Yes, as a matter of fact, as part of the things that I put into place in the very first month that I was here, we're doing a full system tap audit right now, and that means that we have men in the field that are riding, and they are climbing every single pole, and they are going up the pole and disconnecting illegal customers. They are, we are doing some work in conjunction with the police department, and we will prosecute people that steal our signal.
But you don't have a percentage of...
Not yet. Actually, the audit will take a year to climb 4,000 miles of plant. But as far as the 40,000 trapping, yes, we'll have that number soon. Another thing that we're doing to improve customer service is we have just spent $150,000 rebuilding a new lobby for customers to come to our office. It will have at least a minimum of 8 stations to pay at. It will be all climately controlled so that they do not have to stand outside in some cases because the line gets long. We will almost double our capacity to handle walk-in trade. We will present monitors that have marketing devices and things like that, trying to get them to spend more money with us, of course. But most importantly is to expeditiously handle the customer, get them out of there and on their way to wherever they want to go. It also increases our parking for the customer by almost 80 spaces. So it'll be a great help to them and to our employees. And finally, I'm very proud to announce that I guess 3 weeks ago, I was granted for our contribution to education in the classroom $1,000 from cable data, and we will be utilizing that money and giving that with matching funds to one of our educational groups very shortly, and we will be announcing that as we do that. But we're very, very pleased with the performance. I think we're on the right track anyway, and I believe that it's because we have excellent employees that are very dedicated to good customer service, and I'm very proud to be associated with them. Thank you. Any questions?
How many subscribers?
Very much.
Pardon me, sir?
How many subscribers now?
Just under 206, just at 206,000.
Great.
Yes, we're real pleased about that. Actually, these service calls are reducing while our customer base is growing.
Will that go up when you get your system without the boxes?
Well, we expect that when the boxes do come from the field, it will probably reduce, and it'll get better as the years go on, but it'll probably reduce service calls by as much as 20%. And capitalized expense by several millions of dollars.
In that regard, let me ask a question, just simple. In terms of, if people have a television set then that is programmed for all sorts of stations, and it's programmed enough to accommodate those channels, and you take the box out, then your cable system hooks directly still to like a VCR and the cable if they're using them together?
That's correct.
Okay. How will they then tape programs? Will it be the same as before with the converter box or not?
Yes. In essence, all we're really doing is we're saying we're not going to scramble the basic services.
Watch one and tape another on your cable?
Then you would need to have a box. I mean, you're trying to be able, you're trying to watch something and do something else at the same time. You would have to have a box to say, you're recording this channel while I'm watching this channel. But instead of having,
complaint I get.
But under today's environment, you would have to have 2 boxes to do that.
Yes, I recognize that. That's what we've told them, we referred them to Rich or you, that they'd have to have 2, but I think what I hear you saying is that if they kept a box and you were descrambling, so they had a box, they could now watch and tape.
That's correct. And
Doesn't this conversation need to be qualified if you're talking about a premium or not? In the case of
yes.
two basic channels, could you record one and watch the other?
Yes, you could do do a basic service without a box, but if you were,
Service without a box.
you could still watch and record because your VCR would be able to look at another channel at the same time that it's recording.
Okay, so
on our
it'd just be
service.
like the pay-per-view or any of the premium channels?
That's correct. If you have any, we do encourage our customers to at least keep a box into the home because there's such a demand for pay-per-view and it's growing at such a rate and the product is becoming so diversified. As a matter of fact, we will be carrying all of the Olympics on pay-per-view. And so they will be able to buy not a 3-hour, 3-day coverage, but continual ongoing coverage of the Olympics, every bit of it. So if you're really into something like that and you don't want to just watch what ABC or NBC, in this case NBC, wants to show you as far as the Olympic swimming or whatever, you can watch every bit of it, all the track
Will it
field
have
swimming.
commercials on it?
No, it will not.
Yours won't. Oh, that's a big plus right there.
It's tough making them run between those commercials.
When you go without the box and people have multiple connections for the price of one?
I think your question is that will they still have additional outlets?
Yes.
The answer is yes, but again, they will not need to have a box. If they're only watching basic, they will not have to have a box on each one of those additional outlets.
But you'll need to, yeah, they'll still need to.
Would they pay the fee for the second or third?
Oh, absolutely, yes. That's a programming fee and so on and so forth. Yes, that is not really an equipment situation there. It's an additional outlet fee that we pay for programming, basically.
Other comments? Well, in case you hadn't realized that the vibrations of appreciation are coming your way from this commission in great big numbers. We do appreciate your efforts and those of your staff. It's obvious that you're on the right trail and that we appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much, and my staff
Very,
and,
very
and employees appreciate it too.
Thanks.
Good day.
See you in September.
Yes.
Thank you. Good work.
Very, very good.
Is there anyone who wishes to address the commission on matters not on the agenda but within our jurisdiction?
Oh, they do.
Uh-oh.
This will be a 60-second quickie report. Yeah. First of all, we really want to express our thanks also to Sacramento Cable for the channel change. We at Access
Don't run
Sacramento...
away, Kim. They're thanking you.
Yes, Jim. Wait a minute.
It's praise. You better get it while you can.
For years now, we have kept track at Access Sacramento of every call from a viewer regarding...
What is your name, by the way?
I have no idea.
Who do you represent?
Maybe it's Pamela Peters. Randy Van Dalsen from Access Sacramento.
Jay Thompson from SECC.
And Liz Rhodes from SECC.
Now, as I was saying, we do keep track of all our viewer comments, and typically we'll get about a page to page and a half of comments every month that we keep track on our grid. Last month, the month of May, we had over 4 pages, a lot of them being people had no idea. They were tuning in for WTBS, for example, and wanted to find out more about this service, and we lined them up. So, folks, we thank you very, very much for that change.
And our one-day record for people who want to be added to our list is 23 calls. We're delighted. My staff is not. They feel like they're overworked. But we appreciate it, and thank you.
And just one final thing that we wanted to announce at this point, since we haven't been able to do this in the past. This year in the Hometown USA Video Festival, Sacramento brought in another 8 finalists. Access Sacramento had 7, and the Educational Consortium had 1. But very importantly, both of us had a finalist in the overall excellence category. So we're very excited.
That's wonderful.
And we also actually know the results of the judging. This is correct?
That's correct.
And we can't announce it till July 25th, so you'll just have to read our lips.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Any other good news out there? Well, this then is an announcement. The Sacramento Metropolitan Cable Television Commission shall now recess to a closed session to confer with and receive advice from its legal counsel regarding County of Sacramento et al. Versus Protective National Insurance Company of Omaha et al., Sacramento Superior Court number 348258, and/or potential litigation with one or more of the commission's present or potential franchisees and/or licensees pursuant to California Government Code Sections 54956.9, parentheses A and B and 1. This meeting is adjourned.
Recess.
5 minutes in the room.